Hello and welcome to episode 35 of the Giddy podcast. As always, I am Helen and I am coming to you from Dundee in Scotland, where I live with my husband Tom and my two boys, Arthur, who is 6, and Jasper, who is 3. They are all currently downstairs watching Wreck-It Ralph, so hopefully I won't have any interruptions today. But yeah, hello, welcome back. It is the 11th of April here today, Saturday afternoon. I think it's afternoon. It's just after 12 o'clock anyway. Boys are having lunch. And welcome to my podcast. Not a good start, is it? What do I usually say? For those of you that don't know, I am the dyer behind Giddy Yarns, and this is my podcast where I talk about all my knitting and everything like that. How is everyone? How are you all holding up with various lockdowns and restricted movement and self-isolation and all of that kind of chaos that's going on at the moment? We're doing all right here. Tom is able to work from home, as I've mentioned before, so that's making life a lot easier for us. Although, obviously, having the boys home full time can be hard work, as I'm sure many of you out there with children will understand. But yeah, I thought again I would try and sit down and get another quick weekly podcast out for you. So what have I got? I'm just looking down at my show notes if you're wondering what I'm looking at. I also feel like I'm a lot further back. Normally I'm closer. Maybe I'll move. Hang on a minute. Let's move you. Da, 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 da. That's a bit better. Hello, everyone. Okay, what have I got for you this episode? So I will start off with a few announcements. I've got a finished object that I've been meaning to show you for a couple of weeks and kept forgetting. And then just the usual works in progress. I've got a new cast on. I'm going to share a little bit of blanket progress, some yarny goodness, and I'll finish up at the end with a bit of shop news this week. So straight into the announcements quickly in that case. Shop update. I have a shop update this evening, in fact. Saturday the 11th at 8 p.m. tonight. I am hoping to get this podcast up onto YouTube before then. But if not, then hopefully there'll still be a few bits and pieces in the shop. I will share with you what I am hoping to dye up. No, I've already dyed it. What am I on about? What I am hoping to list in the shop. That's what I'm trying to say. Knit-alongs. We have some knit-alongs running at the moment. As I've been mentioning. So the Giddy Yarns Cal is continuous and will continue to run. You can find all the information on the knit-alongs over in the Ravelry group, which I will try and link down below in the description drop-down box thingy. So there's the Giddy Yarns knit-along. So basically any project that has been completed this year and uses at least 50% Giddy Yarns yarn counts, and I'll be doing quarterly prize draws for that. I have, my brain's gone dead. Yes, quarterly prize draws for that, and I announced the winner in the last one. And if you see this, I have not replied to your message yet, and I am so sorry. I will do that. It's just reminded me that I've not replied to your message yet. You have sent me your address, and yeah, I will get back to you. I will do that after I've recorded. And we also have the 20th Century History Cal, which is running as well. I've extended the deadline of that one until the end of May, just because there's not been a massive amount of uptake. So I thought I'd extend it in case anybody wants to get involved now and was worried they didn't have enough time. So you've still got well over a month to get involved in that one. So basically any project that you can link somehow to the 20th century counts. Yeah. All the details are in the Ravelry group. I am starting to see a couple of projects pop up at the moment, and it's really, really nice. It's really nice to see the links as well. At the moment, I think there's a shawl that's been knit using my Sea of Adventure colourway, which is obviously an Enid Blyton book, which I believe was published in the 1940s. And there is also some socks that use that were kind of inspired by votes for women and suffragettes. So it was the 1910s. So yeah, that all counts. And I was also going to mention that Ellie of Craft House Magic is currently running a retro cal. So any projects that you would be thinking of including in her retro cal would also count for our 20th century history cal. I don't know specifically what years her retro cal covers, but kind of retro in my mind is anything kind of 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, which would all count for the 20th century. Anyway, those knit-alongs are currently running. They should be linked down below if you want to see any more information, and there will be prizes. Okay, let's move on to some actual knitting, shall we? I have got a finished object, and I have been showing this on the podcast for a while, and then I completely forgot to show you it completely finished. But I have completely finished my advent blanket. I didn't have a pattern. Let's start with that. So I didn't have a pattern for this blanket. I've just kind of made it up. So each square was an 8 round granny square. I've then joined it using a tutorial from Hannah at the Corner of Craft. I will try and link the tutorial down below as well for you, which is a join as you go tutorial. And then the border that I have put on was a tutorial from Attic 24 for kind of a shell. What's it called? It's not a shell. Maybe it is. I can't remember. Anyway, it's a nice kind of fancy lacy crochet border thing. It's the most fancy crochet border I've ever put on a blanket anyway, but it was relatively easy. The yarn that I have done, I'm just trying to get all of the blanket in here so you can see. The yarn that I used was the advent calendar from Henny Penny Makes, and Erin dyed a Quality Street inspired advent calendar. And these are all the colours. I'm really pleased with it. It's a lovely little lap blanket kind of sized project, and the boys love this. They have already stolen it, and pretty much most days I find one of them sat on the sofa with this on their lap, which is lovely. So yeah, finally finished and finally shared with you. Where am I going to put it? Let's pop it over there. That's the only finished object that I've got to share this week. I haven't actually finished anything else, but I have been working on some projects. I found this week I've been working a little bit on lots of little projects, so I don't feel like I've made a lot of progress on things, but then I've been working on small projects. So as one of my friends said, what I'll probably find is that I'll suddenly have one week where I have a finishing frenzy and I end up with kind of loads of finished objects, because they've all been cast on relatively recently. So I shared these last week, living in my lovely mountain bag from Little Grey Girl. And these are my odd Scrappy Socks. So if you remember, I've got everything tangled up. This is the only problem with, there we go. If you remember what I was saying last week, if you've watched last week, I received 2 lovely mini skeins from a friend of mine in a swap, and each one was about 25 grams. So I thought I would make some odd Scrappy Socks. So what I've done is I have done the cuff and the heel in one colour, and then I've knit the foot of the sock in the second colour. This one is ready for a toe. And the second one, I knit my socks concurrently at the moment. That is my plan this year, which seems to be working. And this one is the opposite. So I've got the heel and the toe in the purple. No, the heel and the cuff in the purple. And I'm using the more orangey colour, this colour here, to do the foot. Now, the only problem that I have is that is all I've got left of the purple. So clearly my plan hasn't worked as well as I was hoping it would. I am not going to get a toe out of that tiny little bit of yarn. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to carry on down the foot in this colour, so that they'll be kind of matching, if that makes sense. So matching odd socks. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out another mini skein or some other leftovers from my my scraps and put a matching toe, but in an odd mini skein. Does that make any sense? So the toe will be the same colour, but it will be different to all the colours that I've used so far. But yeah, they're fun and I'm looking forward to having them done, and I think they're just going to be super fun odd socks. And I have no idea what the yarn is, so I can't help you with that. I also haven't used a pattern. What I do for my shorty socks, if you're interested, is I do 12 rounds of rib. I then knit 10 rounds of leg. I then put in my heel. I use a short row heel, which tends to be shorter than a heel flap and gusset, so hence I need to knit some leg stitches. I then knit my kind of standard foot length, and then I put a toe in. And that is basically what I do for my shorty socks. But these, I'm hoping to try and get these done over the weekend. That is kind of my plan, but we'll see how they go. Just pop those away. Save myself some tidying up after the podcast. And then the other work in progress is living in another lovely little grey girl bag. Oh, I can't open it. It needs to be in a bigger bag, to be honest, but that is fine. Right, here we go. So the yarn, the pattern I am knitting some fingerless mitts, and I did show these on the last episode, but I hadn't done a lot on them, but I have kind of finished one of them. I haven't put the thumb in yet. So here is the first one, and these are the English Country Gardens mitts from Ellie at Craft House Magic, one of her patterns, and the yarn I am using is Dye Candy in the code name Lavender colourway. So it's a merino nylon, but it's a DK weight. And it's a lovely yarn. I'm enjoying how these are knitting up. And I have started the second one. I'm still in the lattice section of the second one. And to be fair, these are really quick to knit up. So if I actually sat down and dedicated some time to these, I would get them finished quite quickly. But I keep getting distracted by other things. But they're going to be fun. So that is that project, which I'm just going to shove over there, having said I'm going to tidy things up, but oh well. I also have a new cast on. I think I might have mentioned this one last week. I cast on a hat using these two colourways. These are shop colourways. So this is Mistral and Hoarfrost on my DK base. And I have cast on, I'm dropping everything, let's put these there. I have cast on the Reverso Hat, which is a pattern by Bristol Ivy. And it is a colourwork hat pattern. Now, for those that have watched for a while, you'll know that colourwork is not my thing particularly. I love the look of it and I want to be able to do it. I'm just not quite mastered it yet. But we'll see how we're going with this. I'm quite enjoying it at the moment. I've gone up considerably in terms of needle size in the hope that that will help my tension. And it seems to be working so far. I've got my lovely floats on the back there. I don't quite know. I think they look quite reasonable, but then there's no big sections where you need to catch the yarn in this anywhere. But yeah, this is seeing some progress. I just need time when I can actually concentrate on it because of following the chart. I cast this on to join in with my lovely friend Gemma of the Little Grey Girl, who is hosting a, I've forgotten what the hashtag is. I'll put the hashtag on the screen. But she's hosting a colourwork knit along on Instagram. So yeah, that was my plan with that one. So I need to put some more work onto this. And that's kind of the majority of what I've been working on in terms of my kind of just normal knitting projects. But I have actually, the thing that kind of I got distracted by quite a lot this week was Arthur's blanket. Now, for those of you that might be new, I've been working on this blanket for quite a long time. this is Arthur's blanket. So Arthur, as I mentioned earlier, is my 6-year-old son, and this is the progress of his blanket. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, having moved you closer to me. But yeah, this is his blanket. So I think this is the top edge up here. And if I fold it in half, because it is actually the same on each side, it gives you a bit of an idea of the colours. So the yarn I'm using for this is from Down Sheepy Lane, and in 2018, I believe, she ran a colour of the month thing, and each month was inspired by a Disney film, and she put out a normal colourway and also a mini skein bundle. And I purchased the mini skein bundle each month with the idea of making a blanket for Arthur. So for example, this first row here were Frozen inspired. I believe this second row might have been Beauty and the Beast. And then you start to lose me. This fourth row here, I'm pretty sure was the Lion King. And I'm pretty sure that this bottom row here was the Little Mermaid. But I have been finding quite a lot of comfort this week in crocheting up squares. So I have actually crocheted up all the squares for September and October in terms of the blanket. So these are the squares for September, and these were all Hocus Pocus inspired. Let's just pop off that, and then I can kind of show you. These aren't in any particular order. But yeah, I've crocheted up all of these ones. I haven't woven the ends in yet. So all of these ones have been crocheted up, and I just need to decide on the order, and then they need to all be bordered as well with the white, which is fine. I can quite happily sit down at some point and border them all with the white. And then I have also done all of the ones for October, and I very conveniently just popped the band on with a reminder of which month it is, so that I know which order they go into the blanket. These little stitch holders are quite handy for that. So then I've also done the October ones, which were inspired by the Haunted Mansion. Oh, I can't get that back in now. Some of these stitch holders are quite ancient. There we go. So these ones, there's the red one, and then these are actually in an order. Got these purple ones, this fantastic bright lime green and red, and then there's the kind of orange and brown, and then the purpley grey, which were really lovely to do and really nice to just sort of sit and mindlessly crochet up these squares. So hopefully at some point, although knowing me, it probably won't be for months now, I will actually sit down and border those and get them added on to the blanket, so that Arthur will eventually get his blanket, because I'm getting there. I mean, that's September and October, and I've only actually got, obviously, November and December to go after that, so I'm well over halfway. I just need to get on with it. So that's all my kind of knitting content that I've got to share with you this week. Just popping some things in bags. I have got a little bit of yarny goodness that's arrived. I don't know about anyone else, but I keep seeing things that people are sharing on Instagram and cheering myself up. But I've got a couple of things that have arrived this week. So I ordered these from the lovely Erin of Henny Penny Makes, and these are her Flower Power Fund minis. She is the dyer doing the minis for the Flower Power Fund this month. Yeah, so for April, I'm pretty sure, which means you should actually still be able to order these at the moment. Hers have been inspired by parrot tulips, and they're just such pretty colours. So I couldn't resist those. And she very, very kindly popped in 2 extra minis for me as well, which was lovely. So these will definitely be going into blankets as soon as I can. And then I also spotted that Debbie of Down Sheepy Lane had a little update this weekend, and she's released a new collection of tea inspired yarns. And what I didn't realise until well after the update had happened was that she'd also done all of the tea inspired yarns as mini skeins. So I picked up a set of the mini skeins. Aren't they all so pretty? Trying to get the decent lighting. I've got one of my studio lights up, but the window on the other side, it's kind of, if I come too close, you lose the decent lighting. Yeah, they're absolutely gorgeous. So I think this one was lavender. Did she write on them? She did. So this one was lavender, raspberry, chamomile, Darjeeling, and then green tea. So these will be going into my blanket, I would imagine. Part of me is tempted to do a pair of Scrappy Socks out of them, but I had initially planned to put them in my blanket. But yeah, lots of minis just to cheer me up. I don't think I've ordered anything else though, so hopefully that is it. Yeah, so that is all my yarny goodness. And then I was just going to share quickly, before we hit the half-hour mark, hopefully, so that this uploads nice and quickly, what I've got coming into the shop. But of course I have forgotten and I've left it over there, so bear with me 2 seconds. Okay. So in the process of getting the yarn to show you from the shop, I also had a little visitor who now wants to join me for the podcast. But we're nearly done, aren't we? This is Jasper.
Yeah.
Can you say hello to everyone?
Hello.
Watch what you're doing with your feet, or you'll knock the camera. So as I was trying to say, I've got a bit of a small update going on this weekend. My updates are probably going to be small and a bit more regular, just because of just because of these ones basically are restricting my dyeing time. So the first thing is that Scrappy boxes are making a comeback. So my Scrappy boxes, which kind of look like this when you receive them, contain 5 10-gram minis. And these are the ones that are in this box. I don't know how well you can see.
I'm not going about these ones.
I know, I'm going to show those ones in a minute. And these ones are... Okay, but can I talk about these ones first? Yeah? Okay. Yeah. So these ones are all non-repeatable. It's just a chance for me to have some fun in the dye pots, basically. I dye them... oh, what do they say? Never work with children and animals. There's no recipes. They just get dyed up and for fun. And yeah, 5 10-gram minis in non-repeatable colours, a little bit of fun. And the great thing is that these, when they're packaged up, fit really easily in the post box and they can go out large letter. The other thing that Jazzy is now using as a rocket ship are some rainbow mini bundles. Can we show them nicely?
No, I show them.
Okay, hold them up so the camera can see them though. That's it. We'll turn them round like that. There we go. Oh, careful, don't knock the chair because it's got the camera on it. Rainbow mini bundles. There we go. So each of these contains 6 minis and obviously 1 in each colour of the rainbow. And if I can hold them a bit closer to the camera, Jasper. They also have some subtle speckles on there, but only in the same colours. But yeah, I just thought these were fun. I've been so inspired by all the rainbows that have been in the windows. I couldn't resist dyeing up some rainbow minis. So they will all be going in the shop tonight at 8 o'clock. And hopefully this video will be up before then. Anyway, Tom is now here to try and take Jasper away, but we're finished. So we can say a good big goodbye and say see you next week. Can you say a goodbye? You don't want it to end now, do you? Mummy say goodbye instead then. Yeah? See you soon. Thank you for watching. Bye.